Welcome to Digital Marketing ROI, the podcast that connects marketing to your business's revenue and covers everything you need to know to stay up to date in this crazy digital marketing world.
Welcome to Digital Marketing ROI. I'm your host, Shannon Allen, here with my co-host, Krystal. How are you today, Krystal?
I am doing great, Shannon. It's been a busy, productive week, but the weather is really nice and life is good, so I'm feeling pretty great today.
We've both got our matching Awala.
Yes.
You've got hot pink with some yellow. Mine is almost all pink.
Mine is 5 years old.
I ordered mine this summer. I actually just cleaned it out and used it today. I've had it for about a month.
Oh my gosh. Don't you love it?
I do. It took me a minute because I have a cheapo I bought at Marshall's.
Yeah.
And I had to get used to, it's so easy for the straw part of this. It's hard to believe it's the end of August.
It is the end of August.
We've been busy. We've been running. Let's just say that. We've been running, right?
Yes, we
There's
have
no
been.
walking involved.
No, none.
I feel exhausted like I actually been running a marathon, but it's all good stuff, right?
It's all good stuff. And it's nice to feel exhausted from things that kind of fill your cup.
Yes.
Because it doesn't ever really feel like you're totally depleted. You're just like, all right, I need to get some sleep.
Exactly. And I'm actually sleeping a little bit better, I feel like, because I have so much running on in my head, but I keep a piece of notebook next to my bed, like old school, writing notes down because there's so many cool things going on with FDS right now.
Yes.
I'm super excited, but that's what we're going to talk about, something about that's being launched this week, and I'm super excited to talk about Digital Essentials.
I am super excited to talk about Digital Essentials. This is one of many cool things happening at FDS right now, but I think this is going to be something that is really great for our customers and for our team. So I want to start off very broadly, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty of everything. Tell us, what is Digital Essentials? What is this all about?
So I want to give a little background. Some of our listeners know that we are a standalone digital agency. Federated Digital Solutions is our own LLC, but our sister company is Federated Media, and we have markets in both the South Bend, Mishawaka area as well as Fort Wayne. So we, back in the day when Federated Digital was first launched, both our radio sellers as well as my standalone digital team could all sell digital, right? And that worked. It worked good for quite a few years. What we really found, and as digital grew, there's so much that falls under the word digital, right? The umbrella is so large. It's why at FDS we live in our 4 solutions, right? Branding, lead generation, social engagement, and strategy. Strategy has become more and more valuable. The way that we report, it's the thing I'm the most proud of, as we've talked about, is the way we talk about ROI and how we tie it all back together. Because let's be clear, we all sell the same thing in the digital world. It's who you use, how you use it, the strategy behind it. There's so many different ways to do digital, so it's hard to identify exactly what works to somebody that might not work for somebody else. Now, when it came to radio, what we found is they are already the experts at what they do, right? They live in that lane of radio, and there's so many events involved and so much more that they have to understand. And then you add another layer. What we were seeing was a lot of attrition. And credibility, there were so many digital agencies that were popping up left and right. It's what I compete with every day, is that when you have somebody saying, I'm the expert, don't buy from your local TV person, your local radio person, there was a lot to be said for that because there's so much to understand. Mm-hmm. And the best way I can explain that is I always go back to a doctor, right? You go see your general practitioner, and recently I needed to see an ear, nose, and throat. Okay, I was having a little bit of vertigo. My general practitioner couldn't help me. I need a referral from her, right? So then I go see somebody that just is an expert at that. She also set me up with a physical therapist. That's an expert at that. My general practitioner is not going to give me physical therapy to help with vertigo. I have to go see a specialist. That's exactly where digital comes in, is there's so many different levels. And what I believe some of the bigger media groups still struggle with is that they are expecting their one salesperson to be good at everything. And that's really hard.
That's really hard, especially with the nature of digital marketing. And what we have seen is, we even see it right now with the rise of AI in digital marketing. Things change so quickly, and you have to stay on top of it. And it is really difficult to stay on top of all of the different moving pieces. And I even just look at the solutions that we have. Things are changing in CTV. Things are changing in display and how we can target people. Things are changing in search. Search has gone over basically a revolution.
People don't talk SEO anymore because it's not SEO anymore.
And then we have AEO, GEO, and which one matters and what are the rules, and all of those things are changing. And you have to be constantly learning.
Yes.
And that's what I talk to my team about all of the time is you guys have to be constantly learning because the algorithm on Facebook can change in an instant and we have to be prepared for that. And it's really hard unless you are living it every day. You can't be the expert of everything.
Yes, but we also need to evolve the people that work for us. And I look at, and I know I'm probably prejudiced because I work for Federated Media as a whole, as a company, and even though our sister company, we have some of the most talented, strategic marketing consultants that happen to sell radio, right?
Yes.
But they have the capability to do so much more. And we also know radio drives search.
Oh, absolutely.
So there is something to be said with the town squares of the world that are moving to digital first, but they also sell radio. I don't want to do that. I want to arm our radio people with the strategies to accomplish goals for their clients with their core product, but then layer in what we're calling the digital essentials, the essential digital products that will couple very well with what they're buying in radio. And then when there needs to be a tag in, and we're not going to talk about the tag in yet, but there will be another level of our tiers that we can call in the specialist. But that being said, the digital essentials is basically a curated set of 4 digital products. So that's my background on what this is that we're introducing. And a lot of the reps that still work for us remember when they sold everything. We went to some of our senior sellers and said, what's missing from what you do? And they're like, we miss the digital. We don't miss the fulfillment. And so many things to know and every sales meeting and training. So there's some things that we're constantly going to be training them on. But the stuff that we've identified into the core essentials is going to fit so well with their day-to-day. And their current clients that already trust them and believe in them are going to trust to buy it from them rather than some unknown agency that they don't know if they have their best interests at heart.
Absolutely. And I think that all of these solutions, and we'll get into what each of them are in the digital essentials, they're things that are truly essential for every business.
Yes.
Every business can benefit from these solutions. But really, it goes back to being the strategic person who truly understands our clients and being the extension of their team, which is what we talk about all the time. So let's start. Can you give me a very brief overview of the 4 digital essentials, and then we'll go one by one?
Yep, sounds good. So what I've identified that makes the most sense, number one, is just the easy conversation. It's the audio journey, right? So what our sellers do not have at their fingertips right now on the radio side is what is called programmatic audio. And for the sake of this, I'm just calling it digital audio because programmatic is a fancy word that just means an auction, right? Accumulated amount of inventory that gets auctioned off. What I want our radio reps to have at their fingertips is when they go in to talk to a client, and we know radio is still really valuable, right? 53% of consumers are still consuming it in their car. There's so much value in there. But what about when they're getting ready in the morning? What about when they're going for a run? What about when they're cooking dinner and they're listening to their favorite podcast? The journey has evolved in audio, and it doesn't mean that radio isn't still a huge part of that, but we don't want to miss out on the other part. So that's number one, is going to be what we are just calling the digital audio, the consumer journey on the audio side.
Great.
Number 2 is going to fall under branding as well, which is live sports. Right? For the first time, our sellers are going to be able to sell CTV, but it's going to be a curated list, which with one of the products out there that is probably one of the hottest products anymore in streaming, which is live sports. Right? So we have sports stations that are a radio that people are buying the sports stations for a reason. And now they can couple that with also buying it on the radio and then making sure when they're sitting in front of their TV on a Monday night football game, they can have their commercial shown as well.
That's wonderful.
We can do every live sports curated package. So we have up to 16, but we're really focusing on about 12 of them that are the most essential. But if a client says, I want to have boxing, I can do boxing. If I want to do tennis, I could add tennis in. So we really set up the curation, and eventually all of them will be trained, but these are the core ones. And we're walking into fall right now. This is football season. So I've got college football and I got Monday night football. So this is something that I think they're going to get really excited about to be able to talk to their clients about. And it, again, couples very well with what they do in radio.
Perfect.
And then the third one I'm super excited about. This is something that you have had the biggest hand in bringing to the table, that you said it earlier. It's changing the way we search. And what is that? It's AI. I'm not talking about AI as in I use ChatGPT and I use Claude. I'm talking about AI as a search, because we've evolved into a new way that searches are happening. Mm-hmm. So we have a curated package called AI Location Concierge. And we'll kind of talk about that. We'll switch gears and I'll ask you the questions. But
Sure.
That's our third digital essential. And our fourth one rounds it up very nicely, which is social management. Again, you lead the team on social management on the fulfillment side. We have designated writers that work directly for us that are true writers, not just somebody that happens to like social, right?
Yes.
You have journalists and writing degrees and people that understand how social management works, right?
Yes. The storytelling, the platforms, the strategy, the content that works, all of that.
And so those are the 4 solutions that we're calling digital essentials. And you'll hear me talk about in training a lot is that sometimes we sell advertising and sometimes we sell services. And sometimes services, it just makes their life easier, which is why we talk about the concierge service, right? Social management is a service we offer that can drive ROI and will drive it, but it's not advertising.
Yes.
Programmatic audio or digital audio, 100% is advertising. It's not a service we provide, it's advertising. Same with live sports, right? So we have 2 clear paths of advertising to help with our marketing and 2 clear paths that are services that we can just help businesses out with.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's a really nice introduction, and it's something that is going to benefit anybody that's not even put their foot out there yet into digital. But more than that, if you really love your radio rep, we have something. Don't work with the company out of Canada doing your digital. Work with the local rep that you know and trust.
That has a great team behind them who can help them. You have several layers of expertise and credibility for that, which I think is really wonderful. Okay, let's dive deep into each one. And we'll start at the beginning with digital audio. Tell me more about, you mentioned the audio consumer journey. What does that look like and how does that fit in for businesses?
So the digital audio journey, to me, it's a no-brainer, right? So we have the ability to reach consumers through music streaming, which is your Spotify, your iHeart, Pandora, right? Mm-hmm. That's one angle, right? We can reach people through other radio groups, right? Mm-hmm. There's Town Square serves up their inventory programmatically. You lived in another state and you still want to stream this particular music station, you can do that in your downtime if you're not listening to the local. We have podcast. So podcast is another audio version, right? And we have the ability to reach Crime Junkies, which is one I listen to on a regular basis. You don't get to say, I want to buy Crime Junkies, because you don't want to decide where your listener is. You want to follow the journey.
It's just like CTV.
It's just like CTV. Yeah. You don't dictate the platform to be on. You follow the journey based on the targeting. Yeah. And the fourth one is we now have Audible, right? We're listening to Audible books differently than a podcast, differently than your streaming, but it's all audio. It's all the digital audio journey that couples extremely well with your local radio journey and your local streaming journey. Right? So in a nutshell, we would go to a client and have this conversation that you might have these clients that either they really buy into radio or maybe they don't and they've left us. And then we have to show them where consumers are because we know how valuable that person sitting in their car listening to the morning show is. Mm-hmm. We know how valuable it is when they're going on their run and they're listening and they're not skipping the commercial because they're running.
They're sticking with it or they're listening to the audiobook on their road trip with their family and they're not skipping the ad because it's really compelling. And we've always talked on the radio side about the theater of the mind and how powerful a radio ad can be with really great storytelling and the full production. It really creates this really wonderful sounding ad. And there's a lot of stuff that you can do to be able to deliver that to exactly who needs a new roof.
Yes.
Or who is going to be your target customer. That's awesome.
And I have an example of a digital client, a credit union, that asked me specifically, do you guys sell programmatic audio? She said, do you sell podcasting and Spotify? And she said, I've looked at Spotify and I have this budget for the Spotify. And I said, we do, but here's the thing. I don't listen to Spotify. That's not where I get my music. I'm more of an Apple girl on certain things. I still old school Pandora a little bit, but every person is different. So why decide that they're going to be on Spotify or why decide they're going to be listening to a true crime podcast? If you're a credit union and you're running an auto loan ad, target consumers that are buying cars. Mm-hmm. It's a segment I can layer in. You get your local radio that you can target and you can do upper branding about, don't forget about your local credit union. And then you layer in the digital audio that we follow the journey wherever they're at. And that might be all on Spotify or it might be a mixture of music, Audible, and podcasts. We don't know, but we're going to follow it and be very targeted that way. So now we have results that we can show that this consumer also came back to your website. So not only is radio getting enhancement of return on investment, but the client gets to work with one person for that complete audio consumer journey.
Yes. So you're getting them when they're waking up in the morning and listening to Pandora while they're getting ready, when they're in the car listening to their favorite local station, when they're in the office and they're streaming Spotify with their coworkers, when they're driving back home, and then when it's evening and they're making dinner and they turn on Amazon Music on Alexa.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, and like I said, we do have other podcasts that you and I have dug even deeper on some of this. We'll probably end up doing a few more specialties. We could spend the whole 30 minutes on this.
Oh, yeah.
But this is the first one. And I think that's the best way to explain it. We're going to be able to sell something that is the complete audio consumer journey. And even better, it's with your local radio as well as somebody locally that happens to be tuning into a podcast or Spotify or iHeart.
And they can help with the production of it and making sure our team's expertise in making sure that these are the best quality audio ads that you can possibly.
And our reporting stands apart from any other agency. I'll stand my ground on that. I don't think anybody beats us at that. So that is something that is really beneficial for the client that they probably weren't getting from somebody else that's sending them an Excel file.
That's very true. With no context.
With no context, yes.
All right, let's dive into live sports CTV. And I get really excited about this as a huge sports fan myself because it is where you're actually able to put your business's commercial inside the game on the biggest screen in the house, live when the action is happening. What problem does live sports CTV solve, and how can businesses use this solution for their advantage?
I'll be honest, we've been selling at FDS for so long. Find out who the audience is, what the targeted message is, and then we'll layer in the channels. Whether that's a display channel, that is CTV, it might be some video pre-roll, it might end up being something down the line of SEM for sure. When it comes to live sports, the beauty of live sports is we know it's exploded in the last, and really I'm going to talk a little bit about viewership. If you asked me 2 years ago on live sports, we wouldn't be having the exact same conversation, right? Right now, there are 121 million Americans who will watch sports digitally just in 2026. 90 out of 100 top watch U.S. broadcasts in 2025 were football. The difference is it is moving away from your local broadcast platform and moving to streaming. Some of these stats, when we talk about where it's at with Netflix, where we're seeing it with Amazon Prime, everywhere it's going, it is growing so fast. And March Madness is one of those great examples. Is March Madness is typically a CBS-owned, Sinclair-owned product. But that doesn't mean just your CBS. You can catch March Madness on so many different channels. So if you wanted to hit all of them and you're buying them all individually, it would cost somebody a fortune. Who's selling it right now is your local CBS rep. But the problem is with that, they're not selling it from a streaming standpoint. They're mainly selling it just with what is on their broadcast. And that is more the cable box. That is somebody that's still not a cord cutter, right?
And that's 3 to 5% of total viewership, even on March Madness.
Yes. For years, cable was the number one provider of sports because they would curate a package because they have, if you think about your cable box, they have so many channels that sports station could be delivered on, right? And the problem with that is that has moved down to an 18% viewership anymore. So out of 100% of the pie, you buy live sports at a very expensive rate, and you're only reaching 18% of the consumers. When streaming has moved to just under 50% of viewership, right? And I'm being a little bit more simplistic here because it can go even farther down. But if you look at what you're buying versus what you're paying, just go where the viewership is. And that was a local car dealer that I worked with, that he was buying all his live sports from cable, and he was buying X amount of spots when I was able to buy X amount of impressions, reach more people, and not be limited just to that 65 plus person that has a cable box. Oh, and by the way, I saved them about $50,000 a year. That's crazy.
That's crazy. To reach more people and to actually prove that they're coming onto your lot after seeing that ad too.
We are partnered with a company that their demand side platform is a Disney Plus partner, but we have access to Monday Night NFL. Can I buy Amazon Thursday night game? I cannot, because Amazon is a walled garden and they close the doors, but I can get Monday Night Football. I have access to college football games. So there's so many consumers in this market, in the South Bend market, that only buy Notre Dame. And I get it. Notre Dame is amazing. But why decide who's watching the Notre Dame game and not watching the Ohio State game or not watching IU, right? If you're a football lover, you're watching pretty much all of them.
Absolutely. And also, if you want to reach people in your audience, your ad with Live Sports CTV, you can't say, I want to be on the Notre Dame game. Guarantee me that I'm going to be on the Notre Dame game.
Yep.
We can't do that. But what we can do is say, we're going to reach college football in this market. And anybody who's watching college football, most of them probably will be watching the Notre Dame game.
Yes.
They'll see your ad. But if they're watching the Ohio State game, if they're watching the Kentucky game, if they're watching the IU game, if they're watching Boise State, whatever it is that they're watching, and they're in your market, they will see your ad.
Yes. And this stat alone, 30% of all CTV viewership is spent watching live sports. Boom.
Yeah.
And we have some of the best curated packages for these clients, and it's pretty cut and dry. Here's your package. Here's the amount of impressions, and it's first come, first serve. There's only so many spots on Monday Night Football.
Yes.
So once it's sold out, it's sold out. So it is one of those things you want to lock in your schedule for the year. You don't want to piecemeal it. And I could talk about some of the return on investment we've already seen. And that is something that's going to be different than what cable can offer. One of our clients locally that bought March Madness, that was a winery in the Fort Wayne market, and in 3 weeks, we were able to show 466 conversions. That meant that watched that commercial and then came back to their website. Tell me the last time cable showed you those results.
It's incredible.
And that was 3 weeks. We have access to NFL football, college bowl games, NBA basketball, college basketball. We have baseball. We have hockey. We have golf. We have NASCAR. We have soccer. And then we have a basic one that's just a sports enthusiast. So we have a lot of amazing curated packages that the radio sellers now will have at their fingertips to take. And we know where video is going in 2026, 2027. And this is the time to lock into your live sports.
Absolutely. All right. Next up is one of my favorite products.
Yeah, we're going to switch a little bit here. I get to ask you the question.
Yes.
So let's talk about, for our listeners, what we have, how we are helping our clients combat the changes when it comes to AI search in general. So I'm going to kind of lead in here a little bit. I had a great conversation a few weeks ago with a local client in the Fort Wayne market that I brought up AI. I said, let's talk about AI. And he right away goes into what a lot of people do, which is, I use it. I use chat. I use Claude. I use this. I'm like, no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about how it has changed how you show up in a search and how it is split now, right? Everybody used to just go to Google and maybe Bing. And now we've added in so many different, what I'll call search engines, right? Because ChatGPT is its own search engine in a sense, right? What you're searching, they're looking for credible information on your website, right? We use Claude all the time. That's going to source what website it pulled that information from. So there's so many different ways to show up in a search. And by the way, Google is still doing an amazing job with it. But if you look at Google itself, their Gemini is showing up first with an AI search with paid ads surrounded by it.
I have conversations with Google all the time now when I'm Googling.
Yes.
Searching for information.
So we had launched last year what we call AI answer blogs, but really when I say we, Krystal, because she's brilliant, what we have curated together to help our clients to combat this is what we're calling AI Location Concierge. And you notice the word concierge because this is a service we provide, but wait till our listeners hear what this is. So why don't you tell us what AI Location Concierge is?
So when we think about how are businesses showing up in AI, you have to realize that people are not just typing in credit union near me into ChatGPT or even into Google anymore. They're asking which credit union in the Fort Wayne market has the best interest rates for auto loans right now. They're asking which roofing company in Elkhart offers metal roofing. They're asking a very specific, and yes, not just metal roof Elkhart or metal roof near me.
Yes.
They're asking full on questions,
yes.
And they're not expecting a whole list that they then have to sort through themselves. They're expecting to get a conversational answer back to them. So it's not just about being visible in AI. A lot of people like to talk about AI visibility. It's really about, is your business being recommended by AI? And there's all these acronyms, AEO and GEO. It's all changing a lot. But what it really comes down to is that there's 3 signals that you as a business have to make sure that your business is providing online to be found in an AI search, whether that's Google's AI overviews, which is the AEO, or it's in Claude or ChatGPT, which is the GEO.
And if you asked a typical client that, they would have no idea what you're talking about.
No idea. GEO, the geography, right? So there's 3 signals that they need. The first signal is your structured signals. It's your name, it's your address, it's your phone number, it's the description of your business. Is that accurate on your website? And Google Business and yellowpages.com and Yelp, if that's a directory that matters to you, and all of the other directories across the internet. Is that accurate? And if you have an and in your name, are you always using the word and, or does sometimes it show up as an ampersand? You have to realize that these robots are looking for pattern recognition.
Yes.
And if something doesn't fit the pattern, think about the Matrix. When something's slightly out, they're like, oh, that's deja vu. It's bad. It's the same thing here. The robots don't understand. We might understand the differences, but the robots don't. So making sure that all of that is consistent across the web. That's your structured data. That's your first signal. Your second signal is your recommendations. Are other people giving you reviews of their experience with you? AI is looking for pattern recognition within that too. What type of experiences are people having? Is it a good experience? Is it a bad experience? What are the common words and the common things that different customers are saying? How often are they getting reviews? How recently have they gotten reviews? Has the business responded to any of these reviews? That really matters. And then the third part is the content. Is there content on the business's website? Is there content from the business that shows that they're the authority, that they have specific expertise? It's not just saying, oh, I'm the expert. It's saying, no, this is what we dealt with in this particular experience. When somebody was looking for blinds and they came to us and they had this type of window, we couldn't sell them blinds. That was not good for them. We went with shutters instead, or whatever it is. So you need all 3 of those signals. And that's what AI Location Concierge does for businesses. It brings all 3 of those together with our Location Concierge services, which manages your business listings across the web, over 100 plus different websites. You could keep them all updated on your own. It would take you hours.
You're closing for 4th of July. You have hours that are changing. Labor Day's coming up. We do that for you.
We do that for you. Oh, you change locations and now half of the internet thinks you're in one street and the other half knows that you're in the other street. Which one is right? Google Maps is leading people to the wrong business.
I don't think people realize how important what we call NAP, name, address, and phone number, is. It's so screwed up. And they're like, I don't even know where to begin. Mm-hmm. That's why you work with a company like us.
Yes.
And the results that we've seen with the clients that do this with us is crazy. How much we have seen their visibility increase.
Yes, absolutely. And we've been able to navigate problems for them. We had one client in particular who had 3 different addresses because they'd moved 3 times in the last about 10 years. They could not get Yellow Pages or Better Business Bureau to update for the life of them. And they tried. We troubleshooted all of that for them, figured out all of that for them. And now their name, address, phone number is correct over every single listing online, and their visibility, the amount of traffic that they're getting to them. And then you add in the reviews. We're generating the reviews for you. You give us the first name and the email addresses of the people who were your customers for the last 30 days. We're going to send them an email, maybe a couple of emails, and ask them to give you a review on Google. And then we're also going to respond to it for you. And if somebody has a bad experience or a bad review, we'll handle it for you. We'll let you know if it's something that you need to be brought in. And if it's a dummy review, they weren't actually a customer of yours, we can get Google to remove that.
Yes. And a lot of times businesses don't even know where to start. Can they do this themselves? They absolutely could do the research and find a platform that did it and trust that somebody that's sitting in Georgia is doing for them. Or they can work with a local business like us that we do it as a concierge, which means we do it for you. And it's number one signal with what we're trying to accomplish was to help with your AI.
Yep, absolutely. And then we write the blogs. We write AI answer blogs, which are in that question and answer format. So it gives Claude and ChatGPT and Gemini the answers when people are asking that fully detailed question. That answer is already provided by you, and Claude just has to pull it from and it's going to cite your website.
And by the way, I know some businesses think I'll just write that blog myself because I have AI, so I'll just write a blog with AI. By the way, that's not the same thing. What we're accomplishing with these blogs is because we are the experts at GEO in understanding what that needs to make sure it's the right information.
And also, The robots know when the robots write the blog.
Exactly.
And they know that that's specific expertise. They know that's not custom to you because they're pulling it from the same place that they're pulling anything else they're generating. Yeah. So we do use AI in our work, but we don't use AI to write the blogs for us.
That's why we have skilled writers.
Yes. And that makes a world of difference in the effectiveness of these blogs.
And the clients that work with us on this right now, we could put any one of them on our podcast to do a testimonial because they're like, oh my God, thank you for handling this for me.
Yes. I was talking to a marina owner last week, and he said that he spends an hour a day going through their Google reviews, reading them, responding to them, and then choosing which ones to add to his website. I said, why are you spending 5 hours a week on that? Is that helping you sell more boats? We could do it for you.
By the way, we'll hit 3 things for you for $850 a month, and wow.
And he was blown away. Yeah.
I love that. Three signals, easy to remember, right? Mm-hmm. Name, address, phone number, multiple reviews, and our AI answer blogs.
Yep.
So those are the 3 that is part of a package for Digital Essentials that we call AI Location Concierge that starts at $850 a month per location. And it's couples so well with what radio was already doing.
Yes. So because if they're driving search and somebody searches your name after they hear a commercial and it's incorrect and then you're not recommended,
where's your credibility?
You don't have enough Google reviews and so you're not showing up, your credibility
is... we say it all the time to clients. Do you know how you show up when somebody searches for what you do?
Yeah.
So the 4th is on social management. Just tell us what we do at FDS for social management that is part of the Digital Essentials.
We fully manage businesses' Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn profiles, or a combination of those. We don't have all 3. We can recommend which ones we think that you should focus on based on your business, your industry.
Yeah, some people don't need LinkedIn, maybe.
A lot of people don't need LinkedIn.
You're an auto repair shop, you might really just want to focus on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
You're a commercial real estate company, you might want leads off of LinkedIn.
So we'll give you those recommendations. But then we fully take over that strategy. We do kickoff calls where we dive deep with our clients and make sure that we know as much as we can about their business. But then we create the content strategy. We create the content. We come on site to take photos and videos of you and your staff to make sure that your content is custom to you and we're not just using stock. Because everybody knows when you see stock photos and stock videos.
Listen,
on social.
You guys, the team just got back from the Bennington show. Mm-hmm. One of our clients we partner with, and some of the best posts I see is coming from our team because we know that product inside and out. And heck, you just spent 3 days at the show.
Yeah. Well, we customize the content not only to the business, to the clients, but also to the platforms. What your content needs to be on Facebook is dramatically different than what it needs to be on Instagram, even though they both have reels, even though they're both owned by Meta, even though there is a lot of crossover in the audience, but the platforms themselves value different signals. And so we know what the algorithms care about, what is going to make the Facebook algorithm show that post to more people who are most likely to interact with it. We can manipulate the algorithms. Same thing on Instagram and same thing on LinkedIn. So we handle the full content strategy. We edit all of the videos. We edit all of the photos. We create all of the graphics. We write all of the posts. We publish it all for you. We monitor all of the comments. We respond to the comments. We monitor the messages. We respond to the messages. We flag things to our clients when they need to know about them. If somebody emails in or messages into the Facebook page and has a problem with their boat, Bennington hears about it. We know exactly who to send that to and what kind of information we need to pull out of that boat owner in order to share that with Bennington so that they can solve that problem. We do that for all of our clients. So it's fully
it's a full management system. It's why it's another service we offered. This is not advertising. It does not mean that we aren't growing return on investment. We are, but it's still, we were very clear. This is just to make your life easier and to do it the right way because it's hard to be the expert at everything.
And it makes it so that when people are learning about you and they're coming to your social media pages as everybody is researching, you have fresh content that makes sense, that's entertaining to them. They're going to follow your page. They're going to start seeing that content and they're going to start engaging with it because it's content that's relevant to them and it matters to them and it builds your community and those people become your super fans. Those people will repurchase from you over and over again and recommend you to other people. And it extends your brand awareness. We've talked about it for years that Facebook, Instagram, social media is really where your brand is built very quickly, 100%. Very strongly.
Word of mouth is social media.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. And we do Media Day is included in there, and we actually require it.
Yes.
That's just some of your team loves doing. That you go out and spend a day because we need content.
Yes.
And we help them, and that's how we can help do reels. We shoot content for them. I would say another thing, our clients, sometimes we require one a year. A lot of times they'll be like, can you come back and do it again in the fall? Can you come back and do it?
We love to do it a couple times a year, especially if you're a business where the weather matters. Being able to show content in December that's snowy versus content in June that's sunny, that makes a big difference because it makes people feel like it's recent. And you would be really surprised in how much content we can get in a short amount of time.
There's so much content that you're able to produce for them. It's another one of those that we could pull in one of our clients. They'd be like, oh, best thing we ever did was do media day with you.
The last media day that we did, we had 2 people on site for about 2.5 hours, and they captured over 200 videos that can be turned into reels for the next year. They captured over 50 to 100 photos during that time. Our strategy for that client is a lot more video driven, much heavier on video. That's in 2.5 hours. We capture so much.
Well,
and then you don't have to worry about editing it. All you have to worry about is getting all of your people at your business, and we take care of them.
I always say social management to me is you're paying for 2 main things, expertise and your time.
Yes.
My time is extremely valuable as any business owner that is not the expert at how to create a reel that's going to go up on Instagram.
Correct.
Those are our 4. So we have our digital audio as number 1 of the essentials. We have live sports packages to choose from. We have our AI Location Concierge, and we have social management.
Yep.
So that's it in a nutshell. This is so exciting to me that we are going to bring something to the radio team that I really hope they get as excited as you and I are. And like I said, we listened to some of our senior sellers and they said, this is what we want. So we listened and we're bringing it to you. So buckle up.
I have one more question for you, Shannon.
Okay.
What is the ROI of digital essentials for businesses who decide to use these solutions?
Number 1, each of the essentials has an ROI attached to it. The first ones are branding. Live sports and our digital audio are both advertising that we're going to be able to show you true results and show you in the reporting how that ties to the product or the service that you offer. So right off the bat, that is something you probably are not getting right now. And the other 2, we still do reporting on, and we still show you the value and tie it back to it. Everything we do at Federated Digital ties back to what does it mean to me? Why should I care? And what do I need to do next based on this return on investment? The return to me is just about your time. Is if you can work with your radio rep and not work with multiple different people, you're working with one group. We all are on the same page. We all know what we're doing. We're much more efficient, right? That in itself has a return on investment in it, right? Because there's credibility behind it. And your trust factor is there because you already know that Federated Media and Federated Digital Solutions are 2 trusted companies with a long history of knowing what they're doing.
Absolutely.
So thank you. This was really fun today, and I appreciate our listeners tuning in. Join us next time for another edition of Digital Marketing ROI.
You've been listening to Digital Marketing ROI from Federated Digital Solutions. Do you have an idea for a future episode or a burning digital marketing question? Text ROI to 45364 to get a link where you can share your idea. Subscribe to get new episodes every other Thursday, plus Tip Tuesday insights every week.
Podcasts by Federated Media.